Welcome to another video here from ourselves at Region Security Guarding. I'm Jack, and in today's video we will be reacting to a video by YouTuber Airrack sneaking into the Super Bowl and reacting to this from a security expert's perspective. Don't forget to hit subscribe to stay up to date with all the latest security guarding news, and if you enjoyed the video, hit that like button. Sneaking into major events seems to be a big trend over the past few years. We've covered Nico O'Milana, and now we're going to look at one of the biggest channels for sneaking into events, Airrack. Airrack has done some brave things in terms of sneaking into large events. He topped off his sneaking in series by sneaking into Super Bowl 56, the Cincinnati Bengals versus the LA Rams at the SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California. Before we break this down from a security expert's perspective, let's take a look at some of the measures that are in place, security-wise, for the biggest sporting event of the year in America. An event of this size is a logistical nightmare when it comes to security. Not only are there up to 70,000 fans there that you'll need to keep safe, there are the athletes themselves, service staff, production staff, and celebrities in attendance that may or may not be performing. These celebrities will have their own security details as well as the private security that are on site at the event itself. The Super Bowl is one of the most secured events in the world, with not only private security but also law enforcement personnel present. More than 500 Department of Homeland Security personnel will provide land, sea and air security, along with other federal agencies at the game itself. To keep the potential 70,000 fans in attendance safe, the area around the event was locked down, and the security services in place there will cover anything from terrorist threat to dealing with counterfeit tickets. Just to give you an idea of the cost of the security at these sorts of events, for the Super Bowl in 2015, the city was expected to pay at least $2 million just for the security alone. So let's take a look at this video and break it down from a security expert's perspective. Okay, so it seems he did some research beforehand. He went to the stadium to scope the layout and potential weaknesses in the security. Just from this part of the video, you can see the sort of security services that are in place here. You don't just have the private security at the event itself, you can see what's going to happen if you did try and break into an event like this. If you jump the fence, you're immediately going to be tackled by security or the police and removed from the event. You could also face prosecution and criminal charges, as they do take this sort of thing very seriously at events like this. It could also result in you being banned from the arena altogether for any future events. Just from this part of the video alone, you can see how intimidating it would actually be to try something like this. It's not just a case of getting past a few guards and then you're in the event. There's a few things you would have to get through. So 2 days before the game itself, he went to the pre-game convention to also look at the security that will be in place there. He did use media credentials to get into this convention. We don't know if they were his own credentials, if they were credentials that he got from somebody else. In this instance, it's best practice to fully check the credentials are valid and even to verify ID against any sort of ticket, any sort of credentials that you're looking at. He had his producer trying to source some form of credentials to get into the event itself for up to 2 months beforehand and got no response, no help from anyone. This is something he's done in his previous videos where he has got sort of help and support from people who are involved in the event, whether that be, you know, staff at the event or something along those lines, but nobody was willing to help them on this, which just goes to show how much people aren't willing to risk sneaking into an event like this compared to others that he has actually snuck into. Okay, so it looks like his plan here is to sneak an AirTag into somebody's bag who is going into the game. He refers to this as his AirTag trick. Looking at this, it is quite a dangerous thing to do. It could easily be interpreted as trying to steal from somebody's bag, trying to pickpocket somebody. Luckily in this instance, this isn't what happened. But say for example, if you try something along these lines, somebody thinks you're stealing from them, they're going to inform security, inform law enforcement, and then you're going to be escorted out of the premises. It could also lead to a physical altercation with the person itself. So you can see how this is risky, how this is dangerous. This is something that we wouldn't recommend trying. So if you are unaware, AirTags are a GPS device that can be synced to the iCloud account on your iPhone. And the idea is if you lose things quite frequently, if you lose your wallet, if you lose your keys, you can attach this device to them and then you'll be able to find them through Apple Maps on your phone through your iCloud account. They cost around £25 to £30 each. It's quite a clever way to sneak in somewhere. It's not something that you would have been able to attempt a few years ago based on technology not being readily available to people, but this is something to consider. So what he does here as well is uses the AirTag to say that his phone is in the event itself and says that he doesn't have a ticket because his ticket is on his phone. It's a digital version of the ticket. This is a credible argument to make make, 95% of tickets for this event were digital. That is something you're going to see more of going forward, is events offering digital tickets only. He is questioned and asked where the ticket is, as you would need to show one before getting into the event. They do let him pass that first checkpoint with this method that he uses by saying his phone is in the event and his ticket is on his phone. A way to avoid something like this would be to use a wristband system. When somebody leaves an event or a venue, they're given a wristband so that they can be easily identified as someone who's already been checked, ticket is valid, and that they can come through to the event. They can also be color coded so staff can tell where people should be. Say for example, if there's a VIP area, if you're in a standing section, if you're in a seating section, all of these things can be easily identified just from the color of the wristband. An event like this might be too large to use a wristband system. If that's the case, a database system can be used where tickets can be scanned, can be verified against the name of the person who's purchased the ticket, against some ID for example, so they could search for that name on the database, see that no ticket's been purchased under that name, no ticket's been scanned in under that name, which means that they'll be able to tell that, you know, his story isn't adding up and he's not telling the truth. So it looks like from this video he does get through the first gate, but to me it looks like security are escorting him the entire way. Just from the way that he's filming as well, he's not as obvious as he usually is when he's filming these sorts of things, so that indicates to me there is somebody there with him. There's multiple checkpoints he needs to get through, so it looks like he's escorted to each checkpoint, and each set of guards at each checkpoint is informed of what's going on. So that indicates to me that there's also good communication between these guards, letting them know we're bringing this individual through, this is what's happening. He says he's got a digital ticket on his phone that he's left it in his seat, we're going to verify that. So when he gets to the AirTag, he can't find his phone obviously because it's not there. And he's being monitored heavily by security, so it isn't a case of him just being able to run off into the crowd and disappear. That's not going to happen. They followed him this entire way. They know exactly who he is, where he should be. So while he does technically sneak into the event, he only gets to watch a few minutes of it, it looks like to me. So he didn't get to stay there for the duration of the event. As soon as he can't find his phone and verify that ticket, he's immediately escorted out of the premises. In this instance, if that is how they wanted to handle the situation, that's the best way of doing it. Luckily, they have such a large security presence that they have the teams available to be able to monitor him the entire way. But at smaller events, something like this, it's not going to be possible. He could just slip away into a crowd. The biggest takeaways here for me are that security teams need to be up to date with the latest technology. Because people can use this as methods to sneak into events, you know, make fake passes, make fake tickets, those sorts of things. With the AirTags, it's not something that's going to be readily available to everybody a few years ago, but now you can pick these things up for £20 and anyone could attempt this. We don't recommend it, but it is something that, you know, people will try and emulate now they've seen things along these lines. While it is a quite clever way to try something like this, it could have been prevented by asking more questions. Something simple as asking questions and trying to break the story down are going to indicate that something doesn't add up here and something is wrong. Questions like, why don't you have your phone? Why were you leaving the stadium? Check if they have a wristband, if there is a wristband system in place. Ask if there's someone in the stadium who can retrieve the phone for them. One thing that also wouldn't add up for me is the fact that he can't give a credible reason as to why he's left the stadium. It isn't just a case of, oh, I'm going to leave and just quickly go for a cigarette. There's 4 different security checkpoints to go through. It isn't exactly a quick step outside and then you're out of the event. There would have to be a very specific reason for leaving the event, and if you can't provide that information, then the story starts to fall apart. The more questions you ask, you can see the holes in the story. Communication is also the key here. You can see that there are high levels of communication between the different security teams in place, which is why he's not able to escape, why he's not able to get somewhere where he shouldn't be. He's always being watched. As soon as he can't provide that ticket, they get him out of there straight away. While something like this here is done for views, it's done for entertainment purposes, security don't know the threat he poses. It could be a potential terrorist threat, it could be a threat of violence, he could have a weapon. Those are the sorts of things that security teams will take into account before acting. They will all have the relevant training to deal with things like this. There's our reaction to sneaking into the Super Bowl from a security expert's perspective. If you have any thoughts, let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to give us a like and to hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.